So first of all, we're going to talk about seagrass. Now, seagrass is a global conservation priority. There are about 70 species of seagrass. We have 5 here around the UK. They form incredibly important nurseries for commercially important fish. They form incredibly important sea defences, soft sea defences for low-lying places. They are economically, culturally and biologically critically important. And yet we have allowed them to degrade. Not entirely our fault. In the 1930s there was a fungal disease that wiped out a great deal of that, certainly in the UK. It's restricted now to about 20 estuaries. The UK has 155 estuaries. It should be in all of them, and perhaps it will be. But it's returning. Now, just at the moment, there is an enormous amount of attention just out there in Thorness Bay and in the Solent as a whole looking for seagrass. There are 3 teams working together in different ways. There's the Wildlife Trust, there's Natural England, and there's the Worldwide Fund for Nature, all looking out there for seagrass populations. Now, the intention of that work is to find ways of restoring seagrass, of returning seagrass to places where it's been missing. But the most amazing thing is that they're just finding more and more seagrass. Now, that doesn't mean that we should be complacent. Of course, the natural drift is to say, oh, that's fine then, let's think about something else. Let's think about some other rare thing, and we'll focus our attention on saving that instead. That's exactly the wrong attitude. The fact that this critically endangered, incredibly important habitat is flourishing despite our efforts to poison it all the time. Constant sewage pollution, agricultural runoff, destruction through development, destruction through anchorage. We don't stop trying to destroy this stuff, and yet it's resilient enough to begin to come back. Tells us that if we engage in a different way, it will come back faster. It will restore more coherently around our coast and around the UK. So it's a call to arms, not a call to move on to the next exciting, rare thing. There is still a great deal of work to do to protect what we have, to map it, to find it. Why is it important? It's important for all sorts of reasons, but it's full of life. And I've got some dead life, see what I mean, here for you to have a look at. And some of the stuff is absolutely astonishing. I don't know how's the best way of engaging with. It's perfectly safe to handle this. Do keep it upright, however. It's only medical alcohol, but it's extremely stinky. So there, try hand that round, courtesy of you, Susan. So we've got pipefish, much like a. Shall I hand that to you? Would you mind sending it around the other way? That's a seahorse.
I've had a look.
This is an Isle of Wight seahorse. This is another Isle of Wight seahorse. This was actually from Gurnard Beach. So these are things that have been found, washed up on the beach. That's a very old high school specimen, the pickled pipefish. Seagrass meadows are extraordinarily rich because they catch sediment. They only grow in estuaries, in quiet, in gentle waters. You're not going to find them on the back of the Wight, it's just too stormy. And they trap sediment and they create nursery beds for these species. So we have 2 species of seahorse. We have 4 species of pipefish out there in Thorness Bay right now at this minute. That's where they are, because there's loads and loads of seagrass out there. So it's an incredible, almost an exotic fauna that lives out there in these seagrass meadows. It's a flowering plant. It's a marine flowering plant. One of them, it's a tasselweed rather than eelgrass, a thing called rupia, is probably the most globally widespread plant on Earth, because of course the marine environment is entirely interconnected. There are bad things about that when invasive species find their way into our local ecosystems and take over, but some of these species are globally significant and are found everywhere. So protecting our bit of tasselweed or eelgrass is part of a global shared endeavour. And that takes us back to what the Biosphere designation is all about. It's a global shared endeavour to find better ways of engaging with the natural world, to protect habitats, for their own sake, first and foremost, certainly for economic and cultural reasons, and so that our engagement, our partnership with the natural world is healthier and more productive. So the fact that there's a tremendous amount of effort going on in seagrass work, finding yet more seagrass we didn't know was there, is now focusing our attention, or should be focusing all of our attention, on what we need to make that flourish even more. Thank you. You'd like to see a pipefish in this jar?
That's why I'm here.
I knew it was. Don't drink it. Shall I hand those around as well? Sorry. Anyway, keep these going around, that's fine, they don't need to, but they need to come back eventually. So these marine meadows, made up of these 5 species that we have, are out there. You can see them, if you like, from the festival. Look into Thorness Bay, imagine beneath the water this stuff, because it's real, and it's there now. So it is right on our doorstep, the possibility of us actually connecting with this amazing ecosystem full of seahorses that is part of a shared global network of these other seagrass sites around the world with similar ecosystems, with similar faunas, should be building bridges between us, and that's exactly what the UNESCO World Biosphere is there to do. And it's precisely what we're going to use it for. But it's there for everyone. It is open for participation. Everyone can be a part of it. And you are, whether you like it or not, part of the UNESCO World Biosphere. So there's a world of wonder in these seagrass meadows, in this fantastic marine part of the UNESCO World Biosphere. But the story there is that it's a rare habitat that's attracted our attention, and we're discovering that it's more abundant than we thought. And that should be leading us to find better ways to conserve it. The terrestrial version I want to talk about is quite different, which is everyday urban meadows, amenity grasslands, playing fields, your garden, these fields. Everyday stuff that we take entirely for granted. There is an altogether different story, but it plays out in the same overall discourse about our relationship with the natural world. We move from a rare habitat that engages our attention to a superabundant habitat that we take entirely for granted. We move from a rare habitat that we're beginning to discover is more abundant to a superabundant habitat that we are beginning to realise is far more significant than we believed, thanks to 2 groups of plants. I won't call them species. One is brambles, and one, as it says on the poster, is dandelions. Now these 2 groups of plants are absolutely astonishing, and they are everywhere. They're ubiquitous. And how many times have you seen on social media, perhaps you do it yourself, please don't, just mowing dandelions because they're weeds, just cutting brambles back because they're in the way, because they're ugly, because you want something prettier. And sure enough, at times that's fine, there's plenty of it. But we dismiss them out of hand because they are everywhere, because they are common. And we take for granted the role they play. And yet, what we now know is that there are 250 species of dandelion. A school playing field has probably got about 20 species of dandelion on it. So it probably accounts for more than half the total floral richness is just dandelions. And they are all different. Dandelions form these things called microspecies. They're clonal, but they respond very quickly. They adapt very quickly to different habitats, different conditions. And so they are proliferating in different forms. And each of those flowers at a different time, tastes a bit different if you're a bug, has a slightly different timing for its pollen and nectar resource. So can you see that what that means? That means that this flourishing of multiple species of a very common overlooked plant is actually driving an urban ecosystem, or even a rural ecosystem, because of the range of habitats it provides. That's just dandelions. Brambles, there's 350 species of bramble. 350 species. The same story applies. They flower slightly different times, they taste slightly different, they do different things for different small wildlife that lives upon them. You put those 2 things together, dandelions generally hit a peak in May, just about run out in June. Brambles start off in May and run for the rest of the year. So just on their own, 250 species of dandelions, 350 species of brambles are doing an entire year's worth of work every single year. That's not even considering the winter work that they're overwintering crops play. It's absolutely extraordinary, and yet we take it for granted. So there's a call to arms to re-engage with familiar places because of the power, the impact they have on everyday ecology. So we should stop disregarding it. We should stop spraying it out. We should stop taking it for granted because it's common, and re-engage because actually it's far more complex, interesting, and wonderful than we believed it was. So the parallels are fascinating. We have a rare marine meadow that we realise is more abundant, but we need to keep on making sure that it becomes even more abundant. And we have an extraordinary, super abundant, everyday environment dominated by two plants we take for granted that is actually far more wonderful than we believed it to be. Both of them are asking us to re-engage in a different way. Both of them are projects that are open to you, all of you. Bit trickier in the marine environment, it's true. Keep your eyes open, use the Seagrass Spotter app, all sorts of things. Have a look at Project Seagrass, have a look at all the wonderful things being done by the teams working out in Solent. Play your part. The terrestrial bit, not a problem. We all have contact with dandelions. We all have contact with brambles. Rediscovering them, rethinking our relationship with them, finding space for them, tearing space for them in our everyday world is a massive priority, and it's incredibly simple. And so that is what we should be doing. And the Biosphere designation that we have treats both of them the same. And it brings into play us. It's interested in every one of us. It sounds slightly religious, but it is interested in every one of us. All 33 parishes of the Isle of Wight have a little bit of the Biosphere to play with. Everywhere that you live has a little, if you live on the Isle of Wight, has a little bit of the Biosphere to play with. And you can consider a dandelion or a bramble or a beach with seagrass washing up onto it as part of that shared endeavour. So it's an extraordinary thing we have. We have it forever if we look after it. It's a call to action. Just engaging with dandelions alone could save us all. I mean psychologically and I mean ecologically. And that is what we must do, and that is precisely what the UNESCO World Biosphere is there to help us do. That's all I wanted to say.